Welcome back to my channel. My name is Peyton Hawes, and we are reviewing Love is Blind Season 8, Episode 6 today with the cliffhanger. Get ready for this. Before you leave, don't forget to like this video and hit subscribe. Leave a comment below anytime you have thoughts while watching this video, if you agree or disagree with me, or if I forgot to mention something that you feel like is important. Let's talk about it in the comments. I try to respond to pretty much all of them that I can, so let's do that. So episode 6 starts off with Meg and Mason. After the last episode where Madison broke things off with Mason and all of that drama went down, Mason goes in and he's like, I'm about to shoot my shot with Meg. And Meg's like, I ain't gonna be anybody's second choice. I didn't really feel affirmed about being your number one, because in the last episode, he was trying to tell her that she was his number one the entire time and all of this stuff. And she's like, I didn't really feel affirmed in that. I don't feel like that has been the case. And I don't know, I'm feeling a little uneasy about this whole situation. And she stands her ground and they break things off. And I was like, girl, I get it. I get why she was weirded out. I get why Mason, not I get why, but I understand that Mason said some things that maybe he shouldn't have said. And regardless of whether he meant them or not, both to Madison and Meg, things were said. And both of the girls have every right to feel the way that they felt in that situation, in my opinion. Which is sad because I genuinely feel like Mason and Meg really would have been compatible. I think they would have made a great couple. I think they would have had a lot of fun together. I think that they would totally be more than friends. So it's kind of unfortunate that the tables turned that way. I hope that outside of all the Love is Blind show stuff that they reconnect at some point, because I feel like they would really get along well. And I feel like Mason would just have to own up to how it all went down and just say, I made a mistake. I thought I was going with my heart and it was the wrong way. And I don't know. I feel like I'm a very forgiving person. So long as people can own up to the things that they said or did and just move forward, trying to be better and more authentic, whatever. We mess up. We say things we don't mean sometimes, and that's life. So anyway, there's that.Moving on. Oh, also, if you haven't been here for the previous episodes, my notes are on my computer over here. So you see me just be moving on to the couple. I'm just looking at my screen over there. So Daniel and Taylor. Oh, so they wrote each other love notes. Super cute. And on it, I wrote down in my notes, I was like, honestly, I feel bad because I can't shake this feeling that Daniel is the guy. So the love notes were super cute, lovey-dovey. Daniel proposes to Taylor. Taylor says yes in the pods. It's the whole thing. They're engaged now. And I just am like, dude's been saying some weird stuff about Instagram. Moving on. Next we have the Dave and Lauren reveal. I feel like Lauren seems kind of attracted to him, and I couldn't tell for Dave. I feel like he liked her. I don't think he thought she was unattractive, but I don't know. He says a lot of things about her looks, about her age. Well, looks, even though he couldn't see her. What am I trying to say? He talked about because she's 30 and she's getting older, so she's not attractive anymore. And there are even spoiler teaser snippets at the end of the episode where he was making comments about things that she looked like and her face. She just snapped back at him, and I just like in the pods when he commented on her age. Look, we all knew this was gonna happen. I don't know. I feel like I sound super judgy, but obviously I'm just giving my opinions based off of the show, and I know the show can edit things however they want to edit, but there's literally an ice cream truck driving by. I don't think my mic's picking it up. Dude, the ice cream truck is going around at 11:30 in the morning. They don't usually come out till 3 in the afternoon. Anyway, I don't vibe with Dave. I feel for the guy. I genuinely believe that he has a lot of things about himself that he wishes were different, and I genuinely believe that he wants to show up a different person, and that's not something that can happen overnight. And I believe he knows where a lot of his pitfalls are, and I think it's not to say that he couldn't be ready for marriage, but I think it would take a certain kind of person who is okay with the areas that he needs to grow in a little bit more and is willing to be along for the ride in his journey of figuring all of that out. And I don't think Lauren seemingly wants something like that. I think she wants someone who's already there, someone who's a gentleman not trying to become a gentleman, someone who is going to be a great father figure. And I don't know. I'm not saying Dave couldn't be a great father figure either. I just feel like him and Molly vibed a little bit better together. So I'm kind of interested to see how all that plays out down the line. Next, we get Devin and Virginia. Devin wrote a letter to Virginia and proposes to her at the end, and she says yes. I really like them together. They end up having their reveal a little bit later. I'll just skip to those notes since we're talking about them already. I thought the reveal was super cute. It felt intimate, it felt romantic, it was giving touchy-feely, but not in the over-the-top way for television or like I'm just seeing you in person for the first time. I just feel like it was very tender and loving, and I just love them. I know some people were annoyed at how many times they were saying thank you, but there were all the compliments, and I don't know, you say thank you when someone compliments you. So I think there's always subtle awkwardness with all of the reveals. How could there not be? But overall, I just felt like, I don't know, I just really, really like them together. Still interested to see how stuff plays out throughout the show, but I like them. I think they're really cute together. Next, we get in the pods with Madison and Alex, and they're giving each other gifts, which I was shocked by this because I was like, how are we on episode 6 and we're barely getting to the gifts for Madison and Alex? I don't know if the show was edited weird or if they literally got so much more time in the pods than previous seasons have had. I don't know. There was so much going on, but not a lot going on at all at the same time. So Madison gives Alex a rock that has a little heart on it. And she said, so her brother who passed away used to collect rocks. And so as a way to keep his memory alive, she has in turn started collecting rocks. And this was the first one that she found after he passed, and it had a heart on it. So it felt like it was made for her to see and pick up and made her think of him and stuff like that. So she was showing that to Alex. And then she also gave him a used paintbrush and was like, talked about how she could teach him to paint and they can paint together. And he was all about it and thought it was really cute. And then Alex gave Madison was it like a notebook? It was a booklet of all of these paintings that his grandma did while she was traveling in Guatemala, I think. She would just go around and paint. And I thought it was interesting that he brought that as a potential gift or something to show to whoever he ends up with, because Madison is a painter. And so I thought that was kind of cool. But so that they thought that that was cute. And then stuff started getting a little bit heated. So they start talking about the situation that happened with, hey, Kinley, will you play in the playroom, honey? Mama's working in here. Un momento, por favor. So things start getting a little bit heated in the pods. So I can't remember who brought it up first, but they started talking about the drama between Mason and Madison and Meg. And Alex likes Mason. He felt like they were pretty good friends. And so he was not siding with Mason, but he was affirming Mason and his actions and his words and whatnot, while also trying to, I actually don't know that he really was putting much effort in validating Madison, because Madison is like, he told me he was committed to me, implying that he's choosing me and wants to marry me. And then the next day, when I am saying that the feelings are not mutual and I choose my other connection, he takes it back and says he didn't mean it. And that sucks for Meg, and that really hurts me, because it's like, so I get where she's coming from, because I'm like, if someone were to tell me that they wanted to marry me and they saw me as this person putting me up on a pedestal above other people, and they're like, I love you and I want to be with you, and even if it's said in few words, because I feel like Mason is a man of few words, the next day to be like, even if the feelings are not mutual and you're like, wow, I'm realizing I really feel that for somebody else. I feel like we're better as friends. And you're like, I didn't actually mean it anyway. That just hurts because it's like, well, what else did you say to me that you didn't mean? And don't go running to my friend Meg after saying that to me and then start saying all of that to her because you want to leave with somebody. I get where she's coming from, and I know some people are not vibing with that situation or think that she was being too harsh, and like, I get it in some sense. She said, oh, well, he wasn't very nice to me, and I didn't really see that in the way that the show was edited. But as I just said, the show was edited. So there could have been things that we didn't see on camera. I'm assuming if he was mean to her that they would have put it in. I would just assume that. But I can see how the situation must have hurt. And as Madison was probably hoping to get from Alex, I am the same way in the sense that if something happens to me or someone says something to me that hurt me or whatever, regardless of if it was the other person's intention or trying to figure out where the person is coming from, my feelings and how I felt about the circumstance, what happened, what was said to me, my feelings at the end of it matter. I can feel what I want for it, and that you have to be able to feel your feelings and your emotions before you can get to the logical, let's break this down and try and understand or other people's perspectives or the bigger picture or anything like that. It's like with a child. You can't start helping a screaming, crying child solve whatever problem it is without calming their emotions first. No one's going to hear you. They're not going to feel understood. They're not going to feel like their emotions matter. When someone is in their feels, validate their feelings, comfort them, love them, remind them that you're there, affirm them that this must be a difficult thing that they're experiencing or what they're feeling. I'm here for you. I can listen. What do you need from me? Do you need a hug? Do all of that first, and you can do the teaching and looking at the bigger picture or trying to understand the other person's perspective after. You can't do that first. Otherwise, all of your feelings and emotions are just not validated whatsoever. So that's my personal feeling around the matter, because Alex was just saying, well, think about Mason's side, and I don't think that was his intention, and I think blah, 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 blah. And it really did sound like he was taking Mason's side. I don't think that that was his intention, but I think he was just trying to be like, let's understand that we all played a role in this and that we all have our sides to the story, and we can all, everything's going to be okay kind of thing. Trying to be the mediator, because I can also be that way. But yeah, you've got to deal with the emotions first. And so with all of that, I was surprised, but Madison and Alex actually broke off their engagement. I felt like they were good together, but I wasn't in love with their connection at the same time. I liked them and I was interested in seeing how it played out, but I do think that Madison probably has a little bit too much trauma that Alex is not fully comfortable with dealing with. He doesn't understand a lot of it. He doesn't know how to navigate that, and I think with his anxious attachment style, I think he just feels anxious trying to figure out how to navigate it. And I feel like that just wasn't really going to work. So I do think that those kinds of things were probably likely going to get in their way. Now we get to Daniel and Taylor's reveal. And Taylor was saying in a side interview before she went to go see him, she's like, I don't think anything physical could really impact the way that I feel about him on an emotional level, just because the level we've gotten to is so deep and connected, and there's too many coincidences of things that we have in common and all of these things, the love of Christmas and Taco Bell and all of these things that we love, like dad's names and our middle names or whatever. And he's like shorter than me, and then she's like, but then again, I can just like off my heels and be fine. And so as soon as she said that, I was like, oh, just because I know Daniel's 5'8". I don't know how tall Taylor is, but anywho, they have the reveal. Feel like, so I would have said that it was like cute or endearing reveal, like awkward, still a lot of anxiety, but still cute. And then I wrote in my notes, but I'm so speculative of Daniel that I just feel weird watching it still. That's like what I wrote in my notes. Of course, like all of a sudden the screen cuts to Taylor in like a little side interview. I don't know where she's at, some other place that is not the Love is, there's all these big open windows and sunshine. Okay, so which, does anybody ever notice the lack of windows? Because probably you have to have all this like and stuff with filming for Love is Blind, but I'm just like, do they not get to go outside at all? Because literally like me inside for 48 hours and all of a sudden I'm like D deficient, I'm sad, I don't know what's going on, what's happening, and then I like decide to get the mail and the sun shining on my face and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is fresh air. Do they just, are they trapped inside for like weeks with not a window like in prison? Because I genuinely asking, if anybody knows, leave it in the comments, because I get that there has to be privacy, but do they get any outside time? Because even in prison, they get outside time. I want to know. Anyone who's been on Love is Blind, yeah, like watching this, I just really want to know. Excuse me. Yeah, that's the little side interview of Taylor, and she's like, you start hearing her voice and like things that were like oh my gosh, you can hear her voice and the things that she's saying, you're like, oh my gosh, this is it, this is what's happening, this is the voice that I heard at the beginning of episode 1 and in all the teaser trailers and whatnot. And she's like, I don't know if it's because he felt so familiar to me, like I've seen him before. I don't know if it's because like voice became so familiar. And what it was, she realized that Daniel had followed her on Instagram before the experiment, and she'd clicked on his page and looked at some of his stuff and recognized or saw like a picture of him in one of his like card things that he described. She was like, he had his legs up in the air and he's holding a drink and there's a Christmas tree. Then he like her, and she said for some reason this one picture is in her head, like she has seen him before. And she's like, and you know, the reason this is an issue is because my Instagram talks about my dad, talks about Taco Bell, talks about my love of Christmas. I have a whole like Christmas on there that goes in depth about how much I love it. And she's like, cheat sheet of all of these things about me. And that really is an issue, because if you think about it, like if he had this whole cheat sheet, he could have gone in there and just said absolutely everything that he knew she would want to hear and end up with like who's actually a total stranger. And that's terrifying. Like, I don't know, especially as a woman, I just feel like that's so terrifying to feel like a man. I'm not gonna say there's anything wrong with just like internets in the sense of the word, just because I know everybody like internets people's pages all the time. But if a man is like internets you, unfollows you, goes on to like this show, recognizes like who you are, and it's like, I've seen this girl before, I know what she looks like, she's freaking beautiful, I remember all of these little things about her page. I'm going to bring up Taco Bell. I'm going to bring up Christmas. I'm going to bring up my dad's name. I'm going to bring up all these things. And it's like, okay, so what y'all talk about that was actually real and authentic and like about you? If you heard someone's, like you started the docs and realizing that you probably know who's on the other side of the wall, just be yourself. Like it's gotta be so, or I don't know, like would you just say it? Because that just defeats the purpose of the whole experiment. But I don't know, it just gives me the weird heebie-jeebies, and I'm sure for Taylor it's just like horrible. So just saying all of this to the camera, and then all of a sudden like Daniel walks in, he's like, hi, like all happy to see her. So I'm like, oh, he don't know yet. And so they have a conversation on camera, and she's like, I've been to shake this feeling about, why do I recognize you? Why have I seen your face before? And she talks about how like she realized he followed her on Instagram and he saw this picture and he was like, no, I've not followed you on Instagram. Honestly, his face like right when he said it was like I've been caught. And like he's like, no, I don't follow you on Instagram. And she's like, do you have this picture of you like from Christmas, your legs up and a drink in your hand, like in front of a Christmas tree? And he's like, no, like Christmas pictures, it's not like exactly like that. Like I'm in front of a fireplace and like I don't have a drink in my hand. And I'm just like, okay, the picture doesn't have to be exactly the same. Like, no, my was not red, it was green. Okay, but like, picture, get what I'm talking about. You know exactly what picture I'm talking about. And she's like, do you see how like this is me freak out a little bit? And he's like, yeah, I didn't. I'm just here like, it would have been more believable if you just said like, yeah, I followed you. I mean, the conversation in the pods where he was like saying, I remember if I followed you on Instagram. That was my first red flag with him. I was like, why are you talking about this? And he's like, what if we crossed paths before? And then he's like, that was weird to say. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, okay. But yeah, just like, no, the picture wasn't exactly like that, and I do follow you. Absolutely not. I would remember that. I'm like, dude, the amount of people that I'm probably following on Instagram and have no idea that I'm following them on Instagram because I rarely sit there and scroll through my feed of people that I follow. I watch stories and I go through my For You page most of the time. So I don't know. I just think it's so weird that he was like, there's absolutely no God's green earth that I follow you. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, how do you know? Like, if it genuinely serious and this had not happened, he probably would have been like, oh, I follow you? Like, I don't know. I don't. The amount of people I probably follow and could have access to so much information about their lives and their families and all of these things and their whereabouts, and I don't because I'm just not looking. Probably so many, like absolutely not. I don't know. It was just weird. And then they were just giving a million spoilers to things that are happening in future episodes to like cut out the end of the episode. And there was like, look at this happens and this happens. And look, I know they're trying to get you excited, but I was like, stop showing me what happens next. I just want to watch it as it happens on the episode. Anywho, that was that for episode 6. If you had any thoughts or comments about any of it, leave it down in the comment section below. If you missed any of the previous episodes, check out my description box below. I'll have a playlist of all the episodes there. If you like recaps and reviews, I also did The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives season 1, so you can check those out too if you want. I will be doing season 2 when that comes out as well. And stay tuned for future episodes. Make sure you're subscribed and you hit the notification bell so you don't miss them. And thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being here. It means the world to me, and I love you so much, and bye.